when thinking about relationships or teamwork and teammates, I'm hearing your thought process is when something's happening, when there's some adversity, you don't take it personal, and both of you, but like you were mentioning, you have a mindset not to take it personal and not to feel offended and not to feel like my teammate is coming at me, but there's just something that she's dealing with, and I need to help and talk it out with her, right? Or whatever. That's what I'm hearing, which is really key for people that wanna have a partnership and that work in teams, or people that lead other people or teach other people. And then one thing I was thinking about when you were talking about when you, I don't want to say emotional, but maybe you get overwhelmed, or for me, I would, as a partner, I would say, oh, she cares, right? She's maybe frustrated about something's going on, but it's coming out because that's the way she cares. I just know she cares. And that's how I've had to change my mindset when working with other people and teammates along my basketball career. Definitely did take things personal, and like I don't understand why you do stuff like that, because I don't do it like that. But in the last couple of years, I've been learning to. I've learned that not everybody is like me. Not everybody learns like me, communicates like me. I'm very introverted. Other people are extroverted, and I tended to not really conversate or be around people that have a lot of energy. But what I'm learning is that because I don't have that type of personality trait, that's probably the person that I do need to work with in business, or I do need to work with in any type of project, because I don't have those skills. That's not natural to me, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I just feel like I'm excited to look at y'all's reports, but I just feel like y'all kind of yin and yang, and you mesh together where you have these skills, and then you have these skills that he doesn't have, and y'all just work well
A
together.
lot. Like even like our normal, like regular way of operating at a festival, because for whoever doesn't know, in a dance festival, you have like a bunch of crazy hours. You have like classes early in the day.
Till 8 p.m. At 8 p.m., the social dancing will start and only ends at 8 a.m. So it will be 12 hours of dancing.
In general, like in our partnership, I'm the one that aims to take more classes and take some of the social.
He goes to bed earlier.
I normally go to bed, not early, but earlier than Ayane.
Now, since I'm getting closer to Gustavo's age,
Because I'm stopping waiting here.
right? But like now I'm starting to feel a little bit more the effect of like having such a little sleep per night. But like not this long ago, I used to just be like super late in the socials and like I said, just go out, see the sunrise, go for breakfast, then sleep at like 8, 9 p.m.
But
9 a.m.
for our branding also, I think it's good because you get both sides.
You get crazy.
You get the connection with both sides. You get the one that's like there in class, and then she goes to some class, and then I'll stay some in the social, and I play around. But she's like, she has a lot more energy than I do. So she can definitely be like more than, and I'm like, okay.
But it becomes a good match. Like we can balance out of each other good, like because it's not like both of us have the same extra crazy energy all the time. So sometimes I'm like super hype and he's more chill. But sometimes he's actually a little hype too. And then turns out I'm like more on the chill side.
Yeah.
So we can like
Balance.
interact and balance out really well.
Super dope, super dope.
Even about learning how to talk as like teaching together that's one of the big lessons. Like you have to hear your partner and know when is the moment that you can actually start saying without talking on top of the other or changing completely the subject. Like we hear talking to you and like it just flows because she's used to teach with me all the time, so we do that a lot. Like okay, that's what he's saying. Now I have the opportunity to say something that go with that without repeating what he just said, and vice versa. So I think that's one of the skills that we developed the most. Like about teaching together is like learning how to teach and talk, being able to complement but not repeat or not overlap. You know, it's
Being sync.
mm-hmm.
It's crazy, but
It works.
it works. Yeah.
I noticed in Austin, you didn't want that headset, did you?
Yeah,
Oh, girl, yeah.
it doesn't like because of
She
the
were
hair.
trying to, she was like,
Yeah, because of the hair.
oh, get caught in the curls.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question for each of you, same question. What do you think makes you successful? What is it about your personality, your mindset, just the way you do things? What makes you successful? Anybody can go first. Ayane, you wanna take
He's
it?
looking at me.
Yeah, it's
all
your
right.
turn.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned a lot of times about being Leo, and that's something that um, since very young, I was like, oh, if I was to choose to be one of the zodiac signs, I would be like a Leo, and I love the figure of the lion, and like one of my favorite Disney movies was the Lion King, you know, and there's a thing of like Simba going to the cemetery of elephants and saying that, oh, I laugh in the face of danger, you know, type of thing. So I like to incorporate that a little bit. Like a lot of times I'm freaking scared of doing something, but I do regardless. So for me, one thing that helps me achieving and getting to the place that I was able to get is not letting my fear shut me down. So being able to actually go for it. Like if I commit something, I'm doing. Might not be the best one, but it'll be the best I can at that moment, you know, with my skills. So, and not being ashamed of that, you know, I'll do it. And I guess I see a lot of people with a lot of potential that they get stuck on their minds, that get stuck on their heads, and they can't do things, not because they're not capable of, but because of the fear that they impose themselves, you know? So I think for me, if I had to choose something to say that's what helped me getting further in my career was facing it and not being afraid of, you know, basic things like saying, hey, I'm here, you know? Like I used to be shy about that because I'm an introvert. I'm a social introvert. So I'm able to like use the persona to teach, but like my private life, I'm a lot more like, you know, and I need my time alone. But yeah, but like that's one thing that definitely changed a lot. Understand that I have to tell people, hey, I'm here, I'm available, I can even like end in a class and say we're available for private lessons. Something that on the beginning I was like, that feels like too much, but now I feel like that's how it is. People don't know if you don't say, you know. So I have to say, I have to be able to be vocal.
I think that's interesting. Like even for me, going out and speaking to like basketball teams and having a mentorship group for them. Thinking about marketing myself as an introvert. At the end, I'm like, it's cringy, but it's like you have to. It's needed. It's a bit. You're running a business, and and so those are the small things. Like I think for introverts are very hard to do in business and in whatever you're doing. And I don't know. I'm an introvert, but sometimes I'm like I'm an extrovert for a little bit, just a little bit.
You get 5 minutes.
You get 5 extroverted minutes. But yeah, I just resonate with that for sure.
Because what it feels like, for example, it used to be super easy for me to sell others. For example, if I have to be here and talking about Paul and Luisa, I'll be talking about Paul and Luisa for 30 minutes and make you buy them right away. But when I have to sell myself, I feel so out of place, you know? So I feel like, yeah, have these amazing structures. Yeah, have us if you,
Yeah, if you're free. If you got time.
So that's how I used to be, and then people are like, no, Gustavo, you can't do that. One thing that I was told back in time, just sorry for going a little bit around on the topic, but I had a really hard time taking compliments. So for a long time, people would say like, "Oh, you're amazing, this and that," or congratulate me to something. I said, "Nah, you're my friend. Oh, I'm paying you well for that." Like joke around to get away. And at the same time, when someone says something like, "Oh, this food is delicious," I say, "Thank you." Like I still compliments that are not for me, but like to joke around on purpose. And then I was called out one day by a friend. I was like, "That's true. I don't know how to take compliments." So I started working more on the thank you thing, on like saying yes, thank you, and,
Yeah, just
and
thank
receiving.
you and that's it, and just leave it
Yeah,
there.
and receiving it. But yeah, Ayane.
No, it's funny because he's like um, being fearless, right? And I mean, some people say I'm extrovert, and I don't see that. But I used to be so shy. Like I've always been shy. I never wanted to talk in public, be seen, or things like that. But for me, I feel like it goes very similar to him, but in a sort of parallel way. Because like for me, is the determination. I feel like once I have a focus, once I want to do something, like it takes me a while to decide what I want to do. I get very undecided. But once I decide, it's like nobody's gonna take that away from me, you know. But it takes me a minute until I realize the scale of what I decided to do and then get afraid. So it's like I have like a little parallel world in which everything is possible. It doesn't matter. Like you can choose anything that you want to do and then just do it. But once things start to become reality, it's just then that I feel scared or I feel like, like get butterflies and I'm like, oh my God, am I really just doing it? So for example, just like kind of putting into, perspective. I am Brazilian, originally from Rio, and I wanted to live abroad. So I was 15 the first time I learned that that was possible, right? Like back then, I used to see movies and see snow on TV and like, all those things about American movies. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Then I realized that there was the possibility of actually getting out of Brazil. And I'm like, wow, really? Because I didn't want to just travel for like a week and go to Disney and come back. I wanted to have a whole experience. I wanted to learn English. I wanted to like live the American culture. And then I saw that there was this exchange for high school in Canada. So I'm like, okay, that's what I want to do. Mom, I'm 15. Next year is my last year of high school. I'll be 16. Why don't I go to Canada for 6 months or maybe a year? And you pay is just 30,000 bucks. It's like so easy. I'm gonna be there, live with the family. I'll learn English. I'll come back like so, smart and with so many offers of job. I'll get a good job. I'll pay you back. It's like I had the whole plan. She's like, Ayane, you're 16. That's not happening. I'm like, but mom, she's like, nah, you're crazy. Just like, don't be crazy. Now I understand she was totally right. But I'm like, yeah, no, like, it would have been
You
like,
record that part, Ayane's mom, please.
I would have
We will clip that for mom.
with the subtitles. She can't read it in Portuguese. But no, she was right. Like I would have burned the house down fire. I probably would never come back. Like I don't know. It would have been crazy. At 16, I was not even close to the maturity level that I thought I was. Anyhow, I found a different route. So later on, I learned that there was the au pair program. So it's a different type of exchange. You do only after you're an adult. So you got to be 18 until 25 or 26. And it's in the US instead of Canada, blah, 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 blah. Different requirements. And I was like, I was 18. I was like, okay, I want to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do it. It took me like 10 years almost because I was 25. So from the first moment that I wanted to leave, it was like a whole 10 years of getting experience with children, getting a driver's license, learning English, blah, 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 getting money saved, passport, visa stamps, and all of that. Getting the program, doing all the steps. But it was something that I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter. And I was like, okay, it's just something. It's just living abroad. It's not even that big of a deal. But then when the family was there and I had a place to go, and then suddenly I had a flight, like I had the boarding pass, I was like, holy freaking guacamole. Like, what am I freaking doing? Like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I leaving? It's gonna be a whole year. Like, I never spent a year away from my family, a year away from my country, from my culture. So then I started freaking out. But before, like, I don't feel afraid. I'm just like, I want to do it. So I have crazy, goals sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. I just want to do that. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is so much more than what you thought it was originally. But then now that you've already said you're doing, just whatever you
Do
have
it.
to. So I feel like determination is the thing.
And then you always just move forward. You hit that, I don't know, that moment of like,
Hesitation.
what am I about? What is this? What am I about to put myself into? And you again still go forward, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like somebody just pull me back. But most
That
of the time,
reminds
it's just
me when I was when I went to Rio and I did the paragliding.
Ooh.
Like you are in a mountain, there's a ramp, the guy's behind you, you touch him and he just says, well, we're gonna walk and whatever happens, don't stop walking.
Oh,
Of course, halfway through, my legs just frozen. I was like, I couldn't. And he was like,
we going.
he made me go. He made me walk. That was the first time in my life I felt that I couldn't do something.
There's no turning back. Like we
It
got
was
this far.
so good. I love the experience though. It's so, have you ever done?
I never did. Always wanted to, but never done it.
And in Rio.
What is that? Is that why I see people jump off the cliff and they have this like little plane looking thing?
This is the paragliding. No, this is the hang gliding.
Okay.
Hang gliding, this one. The paragliding, they have like a kind of a parachute on the back.
Oh.
It's like,
Like it's a half
It's
parachute,
half,
like,
yeah,
like a half moon thing.
Ah,
yeah.
okay, that.
So you stay seated, you know, like you're sitting on like,
They be pulling
yeah.
the cords to the
And then there's like something here that like you adjust like the angle.
Is that how you drive it?
Yeah.
Fly it.
Yeah, fly it. So it's fun because you go with the instructor that's doing the whole thing. And he said at a moment he was like, oh, like the wind's so good today, so stable. You could do something. I was like, no, thank you. I was like, well, you choose. If you don't do anything, I'll just release and then it go wherever it goes. I was like, so I did it. It was so cool. Such a cool experience. I loved it.
That's nice. Yeah, so yeah, I love these experiences, but I don't get scared up until the moment of. It's like, yeah, like I want to do that. I don't overthink up until the moment, I guess. It's crazy.
Yeah, I do both, but I think I lean more on the side of just being nervous the whole freaking way. It depends on what it is, how much I like really, really care about it, or how much I have to get this certain result. But yeah, I lean on just having anxiety, just like an average level, not average, but a little above average level of anxiety the whole way. But I'm still going for it. I'm still like the
How
goal.
do you feel? Do you feel anything on your body?
It depends. Sports, no. I mean, I feel like just amped up. But when it comes to speaking in public, my body leaves like I start shaking, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? I've never I shake, my my body will shake, my hands will shake, and I always get this, my heart just starts. So like I started a new job Wednesday, and it's virtual, it's Zoom, it's just real chill. But you know when you have to like answer some question and your name, it's coming to you. I'm better now. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, we'll get there. And then it's like 2 or 3 people, and then it's me. I'm like, boom, boom. I'm like, why does this happen? But now I just know it's gonna happen. I let my body do its thing, and I know I have to get more like situations.
Mouth drying ever? No?
Yeah,
That happens to me a
yeah,
lot,
for
the
sure.
mouth drying, like,
Forget what I'm supposed to say. I can't deal with this.
The breath. My breath regulation starts going off. So if I have to speak in public and I'm really nervous, it feels like I'm running a race at the same time I'm speaking. So like suddenly I'm like trying to catch my breath. And it's really weird.
Interesting.
Bodies be behaving different.
Is this how you feel when you have to get the microphone in class?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Pretty much.
Well, we can't tell. You do a good job.
I mean, it's gotten much better with like the microphones especially. But yeah, like before, even without the microphones, it's just weird. It's just like that that position in which you are like everybody's watching you right now,
Attention.
so everybody's looking at you, so they will notice.
Spotlight.
Right. So they will notice each mistake that you make, right? It's like, and you want to be flawless, which is really difficult, almost impossible. And then your body's just like, girl, get it together. But no, nowadays the headset's more really for the hair because it tangles. It for real, it does like can do nothing to the hair.
Gustavo, I think that's just an excuse trying to get out of speaking in public.
100%.
I like it more now. Now I'm getting to the point in which I almost like it.
Almost like it.
Almost like it.
I love it. I just like you a little bit, but I almost like you.
I almost like it. I'm very close to like it.
Yeah. The one thing that we always kind of like to cover whenever we have opportunity of, it's like,
I think your frame.
see, I have to stop giving the pause. But it is about like the value of the work that arts in general they do, because it's so common to be underappreciated or underevaluated. Like when I was in Brazil, that was my full-time occupation, the only thing that I used to do for a living. And more often than not, I have students after like great class that they love to come and that's a good, but let me ask you, what do you do for a living? I was like, this. Like, so people to understand that. And also like sometimes when you go and you give a price of a private lesson or something like that, and then people like, it's expensive.
All
like
that.
you go to a doctor and like you pay a lot more for 15 minutes of their time, and like we put a lot on that. And on top of that, it's not just a product, it's like our body. Whenever we like teaching someone, we're not only giving the knowledge, but we're wearing out our body, because we like another hour that they're active and doing and leading and or following whatever,
But
you could
standing up and moving our bodies and like consuming a little bit more muscles, a little bit more bones.
So it's all of that together, and I think that's something that I always like to talk about, because I think people should understand the importance of that, especially during pandemic. Like during pandemic, understand the importance of art to make people stay sane during those times, or like how many shows you watch on I don't know, Netflix or whatever, or how many lives of arts doing like live concerts from the home to be able to keep going,
People playing music from their
playing
rooms,
music,
windows.
for the window, for the balconies in some place, singing and stuff. That's what made people keep going, because imagine life without all of it. Imagine the pandemic happening and you being stuck at home with no sort of art, like no music, no shows, no acting, no dancing, nothing.
There's nothing left. Just eating and
Eating
sleeping.
and sleeping and talking and yeah.
Even more bored than with the arts.
Yeah.
It's really something that people sometimes don't pay attention to, but like art is like, for me, it's like teachers, right? Like the teachers in school I personally believe is the most important profession out there, like the most important type of business, and is one of the least valued businesses, right? So if you're a teacher, you get paid like nothing to teach, and you spend the whole day in a school with your kids, like with other people's kids. You spend the whole day in like college, and you are literally teaching those people to become whatever they want to be. So if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, if you want to like, be a surgeon, there is one teacher involved in the process, and they are like the ones that get paid the least, like the ones that are the least admired. And I feel like in arts kind of have the same, look, as in like it's not important, it's not that big deal. But I mean, if you notice, people are the happiest whenever they are like either listening to music or watching a show or seeing like a live performance. It's what touches your soul, right? It's not like just your regular life, just, doing your, just like the basics, right? Cooking and talking and walking, taking the bus, taking the train. It's like it goes beyond, like it's fulfilling your emotions, your soul. So that's an extremely important part of who we are as, humans. Like we need that to feel good. You know, there's some studies that talk about people who like are older and have like Alzheimer, for example, you know, those type of illnesses. The last thing that they forget is music. So sounds, like, you know, is something that they still connect to and they can still recognize. So like it's so important to our body and to our brain. That is one of the last things you lose. And people don't really care as much, you know. So really like looking to your local community, to your local instructor, you know, taking classes and valuing their job, their profession, and really supporting whenever possible. It's really like something, you know, people could be doing more.
Yeah.
It's not an easy task. Like some people are out there doing this full time, and it's difficult. So yeah, the more we can like encourage people to continue doing what they are, if we like it, the better it is.
You made a comment about privates and people saying it's too expensive, and I think, you know, like I think people have a mindset of like they forget that if they want to get somewhere, you have to pay for the shortcut. It's not a shortcut, but you guys have been dancing for a long time. You've done a lot of training. You have trained with, you know, other trainers and instructors that have a lot of knowledge. And so I think it's important for people to understand just how much they are getting from you, through everything that you've done, the people that you've competed against and instructors, all that stuff, for whatever your charge is. I've had to adopt that mindset when it comes to like building my coaching business and speaking business, of like, hey, I'm gonna go to these conferences, I'm gonna do VIP, or I'm going to pay for the shortcut, which means just, it's not a shortcut, but it's like, hey, getting the information that you're not gonna get in general admission. You're gonna get something specifically customized for you that you're not gonna get in the class of 20, 30 people. You know, I think
Yeah.
people just forget that,
Yeah.
and so
Absolutely.
yeah, talk to that point, because you know all everything that y'all have done to get to where you are, and it's awesome to be able to learn from you guys.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, and it's not even like a shortcut, but it is a shortcut in some sort of way. Like, because if you take a group lesson, like if you go to the regular group setting, you will learn, obviously, like if you continue to come, you know. But if you are in a private environment,
It's customized.
it's customized and you're going to learn to your own speed. So maybe you will attend 4 group lessons to learn, you know, 4 different things, but you will be able to learn that in the whole hour of a private section because you have that skill. You're like capable enough to go through the whole content in a shorter period of time. So instead of 4 hours, you get that in 1 hour. So in a certain way, it's actually a shortcut because you don't have to like take the same length, the same amount of time that will take for everybody else. So it's an investment, right? You can't go with the long way, which is fine. Nobody's here to rush. But like for me, for example, group lessons were never my thing because I was always like, okay, and now what? Okay, it's been 30 minutes, but now what? I'm like in my head and in my body, that had already made sense. So I'm ready to move on. Like I want to get more faster. I wanted to have like 4 hours of intensive in a day instead of just like 1 hour of a little something. You know, for me as a dancer, I always wanted the more the merrier. Like if I could, you know, just go to intensive groups, that's always what I liked instead of a regular group class, you know. So if there is an intensive in which we're gonna teach you like crazy stuff for 4 or 5 hours a day, I'm like, yes, sign me up. That's what I want to do, you know, all the crazy things in a faster pace because I feel like I could keep up with that, right? So for me, it made sense. So I wanted to go that route. And I guess it goes like from person to person. Some people are really comfortable with coming to the community, to the regular class, and that's good for them. It fits their work schedule. They're not in a hurry. But for me, it was like, no, I want to do it. I want it faster.
Yeah, I like the group class, especially when I was back in Brazil, because you were repeating the same information over and over, and like, oh, okay, it's like reading a book for the second time or watching a movie again. You already know what's happening later, and like then you start clicking with things that they were, you know, delivering before, and like, oh, I see why they did that now, you know, because you have a better knowledge, a deeper knowledge of the whole picture, you know, so it can like focus more on what's going on. So I like both scenarios. It's different. Yeah.
I'm a little accelerated.
Yeah, you were fast paced.
I'm in a hurry. I'm like speeding things up. I'm like, yes. And now what? And now what?
Let's go, let's go.
I don't walk around like, run.
Yeah, because she has all the energy,
I
right?
have all the energy. Like, I can't stay still. So like, what else? I'm the like the burrinho. I'm the little. The
Donkey?
burrinho do Shrek, yeah, the donkey. It's like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Okay, now we're there.
Donkey, yeah.
Okay, maybe last question.
I love it, maybe.
I could talk to y'all all day. Okay, so who do you look up to? Doesn't have to be one person. It can be multiple people for certain parts of your life. Who's your mentor? You know, maybe in romance and relationship and families and finance. Who do you look up to? Who do you listen to? Podcasts? Who do you actually work with? Who are your coaches? I'm nosy.
Let's get in there.
Go for it. Ayane just went for a coaching thing recently in Brazil, right?
Yeah, there was like a hypnosis team group setting, and I actually listen to this guy a lot. I watch lots of things he does on YouTube, but it's Brazilian, so all content is in Portuguese. Rafael Barretos is his name. So he's a hypnotherapist in Brazil. Has like a very different concept, but works. He talks a lot about like the nitty gritty things about how your behaviors nowadays are explained by things that have happened to you when you were a kid or whatever. So I really like that. There's also Tiago Brunet, who is who's a business guy, but also like um, not a pastor, mas a guy who studied geology. No,
Oh, wow.
theology. Theologist.
Yeah.
Theologist. So he's a business guy and theologist, and also has like some really good material for like how to deal with people. And I started reading his book sometime like recently about like how to deal with people, and so those two people actually helped me out a lot as far as like improving my communication skills, getting a little more like outside of the feeling of like you're speaking directly to me and attacking me personally, as opposite as like, okay, you are expressing however you feel, so let me listen to that and then just interact with you. So those are like kind of life things. And for dance, I have been influenced by several different teachers. Like Gustavo will talk more about his experience, but I have been through several different places. So the first dance school that I went to, the owner of that school was Teresa Petzold, is her name. So everybody's from Brazil, guys. I'll put the names in the subtitles.
Yeah.
But so Teresa Petzold, and she was a ballerina. She now is probably like in her 50s, maybe. But she was always an inspiration for me when I started, and she was into everything. Like she was, a classical ballet dancer. She did lots of work, jobs with partnerships with Carlinhos de Jesus. So they had like all these different collabs. So at that time, I looked up to her a lot, because I wanted to be the ballerina. I wanted to be on pointe shoes. So like she was my reference as being the owner of the school, and she was like, her classes, right? You only get to her once you were to a certain level. So when I was, a kid, I just started, and I'm like, can't wait to get to classes because it's gonna be the advanced stuff. So I had that inspiration, of like moving forward to get to learn from her and all of that. So she was like my early generation kind of inspiration. Then just for, I guess, some reference, as we talk about nowadays, like having a Black reference or stuff like that. For a long time, Julissa was actually my role model. Like when I was dabbling more into Zouk, she was the person that I would look up to and be like, oh, wow, she's like me, so I can be like her, I can dance like her. And because like she has the same type of hair that I do, same skin color. And I was like, oh, it's not only like white people who are, skinny with straight long hair that can dance. So I felt like I was more represented. And then later on, Paula and Luisa obviously were the people who like finessed, let's say, the most my dance. So I had a lot of training. I trained a lot with my previous partner. Took lots of classes. Went to Brazil. Like so, there's lots of people who have influenced my journey, but they were like the two who were like, okay, here is what you need to like adjust in order to unlock some other new potential. I was like, okay, like so they defined the code of the next level Zook for me. I guess that's that.
Yeah, I was trying to think here because it's funny. I think that dance-wise, yes, I had the people who I learned from, but in life, I go a lot about like topics that I get curious and I start researching of, but I don't have like one person or a few people that I listen to. Like I'm interested in this subject, so I'm trying to listen to everything. Like if you go on Google and have like the
All the
whole
results.
results coming on there and bringing like what you're interested on, like trying to get feed myself with all different information, and I try to learn from everyone because like every experience that I have will help me growing in a way, you know. So being a partnership or being like a relationship, uh, romantic relationship, you know, or anything will add to me, and I try to learn from the experience. So seeing what that person brings, what's the person's background. I like a lot of people watching, you know. So that's something that I used to love, like being in a place, a crowded place, and like being kind of away and seeing what's going on and seeing the interaction, or sometimes just making on my mind like what's going on there, like what's happening with that group of people that are walking here. Why are they walking like that? Why they dressed like that? Why why they behave that way? So yeah, crazy.
Such an introvert. That's what we all do. We just sit in the back and creep. You're just like, what is going on? Weirdos. People. Ew.
Right? But yeah, dance wise, of course, like Jaime Arocha was my first master and the guy who created a method that I learned a lot from it, and you know that where most of the big names of Brazilian dance, the partner dance came from. And after I moved here, of course, Paul and Luis are like the main connection and the coach that we have. But I learned for so many other arts, and even sometimes a little bit, even sometimes just taking a little bit or watching their class or watching their dancing, you know. And it's funny because Ayane was mentioned that of Julissa, and I was thinking like it's interesting because I got a lot of people coming to me either wanting to take lessons or you know, or admiring because of my height, because I'm not super tall and I'm able to dance with taller people and make it feel comfortable. So people come to me with that, oh, I want to learn from you because you have like a height that's similar to mine. And that was never my thought process, was never like, I was never looking to someone, oh, he looks like me and I want to dance. No, it was like, oh, I like what that person does. And oh, does that doesn't work on me. Okay, fine. Let me try something else. You know, but I never had that specific thought, but I see that happening with some students of mine, and hearing and saying that now, it was like interesting.
Yeah, people feel represented by you, because it's unique. Like whatever we have is different and it's unique. So for me, I was like looking at her. I was like, wow, she's different from the majority. Because that's some like parallel topic, but there's some people, type of skin colors and hair looks and face types. So it's interesting to go out there and see that the majority of the couples traveling out there are usually European, like, looking.
Look, yeah.
So you don't get to see a lot of Black folks out there. So for me, like, and I was doing most of my Zouk, I started here in the US. So, looking up online, watching YouTube videos, I'm seeing all these different people. Then I'm like, oh, look at this girl. She's just like me. It's like the Barbie thing, that they recently launched. It's like, not everybody has to be perfectly curvy and white with straight, long, blonde hair. It's like, you can be different and still can be special, So I was like, oh, okay, that makes me feel a little closer, to reality. And I mean, she's just beautiful. So shout out to Julissa.
Yeah, she's amazing. And I love books also. Like books sometimes, especially back in time when I was younger, it was something that helped me discovering a lot of new things. Especially back in time when internet was not as
A thing.
accessible as nowadays. I remember having to wait in Brazil to midnight, so you pay just one post, use the internet, and like take forever to connect.
You old.
Didn't say that.
Dang it! Anyway,
Hey.
so there's some books, and I don't know, some of them I don't know the translation to English, but I know they're from here. One is like O Monge Executivo, the monk and the
Executive monk.
yeah,
The
something
monk
like
and the
that.
executive.
So it's really, really interesting book. The Poor Dad and Rich Dad is also another one that I love. The one that I love is like this one I discovered later and I actually read in English is the starts with the why. It's I think
the
Simon
book.
Sinek.
Yeah.
It's
Why?
yeah, starts with the why. Yeah. So, because when you're starting something and you're trying to find purpose, a lot of times you're like, oh, I do this, how or what, but the right question to start the whole process is like, why I do this, So why I'm offering this, why this is different, why this is special. So when you start things from the why, you get like in a better understanding and build it in a more organic and makes
And
a lot more
genuine
sense. More genuine.
result, yeah.
So when I read that book, I was like, oh, that's very interesting. So there are some books that I like, okay, those are things that lead me and I keep that on the back of my mind a lot. The Secret also, like back in time, like The Secret. Yeah.
So
Law
I'm
of
in.
Attraction.
I haven't seen like there's a show, not show, movie or documentary, right? And I haven't read the book, but I'm in this like book club with my business coach, and that's what we're reading now.
Oh, nice.
And I've actually got to read it over this weekend, so
look at
for
that.
Tuesday. I don't know what's gonna happen, but she loves it. I heard it was really great, so I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
excited
good
to read it. Any last thoughts to close out this interview? It's been great. So good. We can talk. I got all kind of questions I didn't even get to. I always do this. I have questions. I'm like, I got what I'm gonna do, and then we just start flowing, and I'm like, whatever.
That's what it is, yeah. You have anything to add?
Well, first of all, thanks for having us.
Of course.
It's always fun. I feel like being able to share a little bit of our experience. Is like for us, the partnership is brand new. So whenever we have the opportunity of like talking about it, is even like it becomes even a learning lesson still for me. Because I'm like, oh, we're talking and I'm processing and I'm realizing things that I may not even have thought about before. So it's really good to be able to like talk about the arts that we do and like bring awareness to more people out there. So thanks for making space for that. I don't know if people are interested in doing Zouk. It's a really fun dance. So you guys maybe want to check out. We're here in Denver. Just pop in. But any other events, it's like dancing is really fun. Is for me a really good way of like sharing and expressing emotions and like connecting with other people. Gustavo was saying like I tend to be a party animal, so sometimes I go to these events and I don't get to talk a lot. Yesterday I came to the pre-party and I ended up just sitting outside and talking to somebody. I'm like, this is nice, this is good too, because most of the time I just get lost on the dance floor because it's something that I also love, but I don't get to connect with people as much. But anyhow, so I feel like dancing is just a really good way of sharing, expressing, just like, releasing tension. So sometimes I've had like a stressful week at work and I go dance and it just feels like it's a whole new world. And then everything's fine, can just be happy again.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't experienced, I really encourage you to do any type of partner dancing that you identify with. Brazilian Zouk for me is really close because of the music selection. So I really bond with the music. But bachata, salsa, any other dances that are out there are a good entrance as well if they are more accessible, easier for you. And maybe that's something, you can try and be like, oh, this is really fun.
It's funny that you went that way because I was thinking about talking just about it, like talking about how much I feel that in my life, in my journey, dance was healing, you know. So I healed so much through dance, and there are moments, as you said, where like you go in through the low, and then you're like, oh, I don't know if I should go dancing, and then you go and it changed the day, changed the mood, changed the vibe, you know. So I really believe on the power that dance has to transform. And especially there are a lot of people that think, oh, I cannot. There is no such a thing, you know. Like everyone is able to dance. It's just like you don't want to be like Ayane in one day because that's not what's going to happen, you know. And maybe you're never going to be like Ayane. You have to learn how to be like yourself. And finding that, finding joy on being you, find joy on being able to express who you are through dance, it's magical. I would definitely encourage you, if you still on the fence and like, I don't know, try dancing. And as you said, any sort of dance will be good, of course.
And it's an exercise too.
It is an exercise. Of course, there's also like, you could have one day an experience that will not connect to you and try something else, try another style of dance, try a different instructor, because it's always the clicking part, you know. Sometimes like, oh, you go to one experience with one instructor that has a style that doesn't match yours and you feel like you can't dance. Not sure, you know, go somewhere else and keep pursuing, because dance for everyone, and I believe so much on the power of dance to heal.
We becoming like so connected is a crazy thing. But like, you know, in those lines, sometimes even if you have been like attending lessons, you know, dance is just like life. And it's social dancing, so you will deal with people. So maybe one day or the other is not going to be the greatest experience. You know, you sometimes you're feeling bad at home and you're like, I'm going to go dance, and you're going to come home still feeling bad. Like it happens. It has happened to me. But like is not all the time, right? It's like majority of the time it tends to be really like transforming in a positive way. Like you leave feeling a little upset, feeling frustrated, feeling bored, you leave the house, you go out to dance, and you meet people who are like, wow, you're here, good to see you again. You know, they get happy because of your presence, and then you get to dance, and the music is fun. So it really changes up the mood. Not to mention, like, it's good as a fitness practice, right? So if you're sedentary, if you're not like moving as much and you don't want to go to the gym, if you don't want to do, you know, any sports, or maybe if you had an injury before and you cannot go as heavy anymore, right? Maybe social dancing could be something to just get you back, you know, like active a little bit. Socializing is like, it's good for so many different reasons. And yeah, like honestly for me, back in the day when I started Zouk here, it was the thing. Like doing Zouk for me at that time, it was literally like there was me before and there was me after, and like it really, really did change my life, like no doubts, you know. So I'm really grateful for dance always, because it keeps on coming back to my life whenever, like just at the right times, you know. So when you think, for me, like when I'm like, oh my God, I'm lost and everything is crazy, then suddenly there is like a dance opportunity that I go and I'm like, I get lost in there and I'm like, yeah, like life is amazing again. So anyhow, this is my 2 cents.
Love it, love it. Thank you so much. Where can everybody find you on the socials of the world?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, come on.
And on Instagram, we have like, we don't have a combined page though, you know, we have like separate ones. So my name is Gustavo. So you take the O out and put in dance, Gustavin Dance. Is that the way you're gonna find me on Instagram? Ayane is a little different.
A menina enrolada. So if you speak Spanish, it's a little easier, or Portuguese, but otherwise, I mean, girl, curly girl, menina enrolada.
Yeah.
We'll spell it out later.
That's a hard one.
I have appreciated y'all's time. This was really, really fun, and I'm going to be bugging you for some more.
Of course, anytime. Appreciate you.
All right, that's it. Peace.
Have a nice.
Thank you.
Hey.